Alrighty. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode. I'm
Mhm.
Greg alongside Amanda, and we're here to tackle those sticky situations and tricky dilemmas that make life a little tougher. But before we get started, it's a Monday. Amanda, how did we do this weekend?
We did great. I've been looking forward to this all weekend.
Really? Me too. It's a lot of fun.
How was your weekend?
You know,
It
but I
is a
was
lot of fun.
excited too. I think we just get into it then, since we enjoy doing this so much. Who do we have today?
Today we have Brett. He is going to talk to us about some of his struggles. So, hello, Brett.
Hello there.
Hey, Brett.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing. How can we help you?
Well, I was a little nervous to come on, but I'm glad that you were able to have me on there. I reached out because I wanted to know what your thoughts on weight loss are. I've struggled with it my whole life, and I've tried every diet out there, and sure, some of them work, but I just can't seem to make it work long term. And life sucks being overweight. And I don't know. I just thought maybe you could help me.
Well, first, I think that's great. You brought the title of the show into that. I really appreciate that plug. So thank you.
Yes, I love that.
A pretty obvious question. What's been wrong with the diets?
Well, I've had success on some of them, more so than on others. I just really have trouble sticking to them. I did really good on a ketogenic diet, where I just ate really nothing but meat. But I got tired of it after a while, and I really started craving fruit. So I lost weight on it, but then I started eating fruit, and then that led to more carbs. And I don't know. I have trouble sticking to any approach long term, and I don't know what I should do about it.
Okay. Tell me something outside of dieting that's been hard that you were able to overcome in your life. Has there ever been anything else other than a diet that you've had to work hard to overcome and you were able to do it and see it through, or is this a pattern in everything you do?
Huh. I got through school. I wasn't the best, smartest kid in school, but I was able to get through school, and I graduated. And that was difficult for me. I remember really struggling in math and that, and I was wanting to give up. But somehow I made it. Somehow I made it through. Not sure how, but I think back on that, and that was a success story. I have a good job. I'm successful in a lot of areas of my life, but I can't seem to get the weight under control.
So I'm going to say something, Brett, and we'll talk a little more, but it's not that you just said you can't. And I would challenge that by saying you won't. So can't means it's not possible. Won't won't means that you're not willing to do what it takes to get there. So I'm not by any means saying you're not capable of doing it, because you are, but you're going to have to change your mindset, because as long as you have that negative can't in there, you won't be successful. So you have to start believing you can do it before you will succeed. That's the first thing that I've picked up in the 2 minutes of you talking.
Okay, but how do I do
Does,
that when it's like
well,
what does that look like? I hear what you're saying. I'm almost setting myself up to fail, but I don't know how not to. How do I get from can't to won't?
Well,
What
again,
was
it
your
all
mindset
starts.
when you completed other hard things?
That I didn't have a choice. I mean, I had to get through school.
And
I
what
have to
makes
have
you
a
think you have
job.
a choice here?
Well, I guess because I have a choice. Because I go and when I'm at the grocery store, I have the choice to buy anything. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we got to get all the junk food out of the grocery store. Don't give me a choice.
Okay, you're right.
I'm at the store. It's a great question.
Right.
When I get there to the store, I make bad choices.
So again, I don't think you want to be successful.
Right. So here we
Finish it, Amanda. Amanda.
I was just going to say we always have a choice. whether you are in school, you have the choice to drop out and not finish. Whether we're choosing to work on something to make ourselves better, you have a choice whether you can finish that or not finish that. Or if you mess up, you have a choice to get back on track.
Yeah, I do. I do sometimes. Like, I think it's my choices sometimes, and then other times it's other people's choices. Like, we go out, a lot, and I'll eat at people's houses, or we'll go to a restaurant, and my daughter will want to go out for pizza, and there's nothing I can eat there, so I end up making the best choice I can at these places. But sometimes even my best choice isn't a very good option. So I do think there's a bit of a can't in there versus my won't, but it's almost like I have trouble. I don't have a choice in some situations.
But if you continue down this path, you won't have a choice.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Because what's going to eventually happen is you're going to get to a point where you reach we've seen it happen numerous times. Your heart, your other organs, there's going to be other things that start to go. And guess what? At that point, it's too late. You won't have a choice. And I don't think that will be a fun outcome for you going down that road. So basically, you have to get to the point where you want it. You don't want it. Because if you wanted it, all the excuses we've heard since you've been on, those would go away. You don't want it. And that's okay if that's where you're at, but just be real with yourself. We can't make you want it because you keep asking us how to do it. We can't make you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hear that. I want it. I really want it. I'm sold out. I don't hear that from you. And that's okay if that's where you're at, but I'm just saying be real with yourself. And it might be a process. You just might not be there yet.
Yeah, you sound like my doctor who says my A1C reading keeps going up, and it's a measure of my diabetes. And he says it's eventually going to be where I'll have to go on medication if it keeps going up.
And sadly, he's probably right. But again, that's your choice. It's all a choice. But see what happens, Brett, is when you get to that point, then you go into panic mode. All these excuses that you've shared with us, they won't have so much weight holding over you, right? Because you're going to get freaked out. You're going to start seeing the consequences of this. And it's going to be real easy to control it at that point. But we're trying, we would encourage you to get to that point before it gets so dangerous where you won't have that option. Yeah. You don't have to, if you're not at that point, that's okay. I'm 170 pounds now, but when I started this, I couldn't walk. So, to get outside and walk, it's really about changing your routine and your patterns. That's the biggest thing with all of it. That's what you have to change. So I can tell you from experience, I used to stay up late, I drink. When I decided to make that change for the 100th time, and by the way, I'm being a little harsh with you, but I've been there. I failed multiple times before I finally got it. The fact that you're on the phone now with us, that's a positive sign. When you get to the point that you really just don't care, you're not seeking help, that's the problem, because at that point you've quitting. So I want to applaud you for being on, because I know I was a little harsh on you. But this is all positive what you're doing. And it's very normal too, just so you know. You're not different than anybody else. I've been through it. Amanda's been through it. We've all been through it. So we're talking to you from experience. But flipping your schedule is huge. So for me, it was drinking at night. Great. So I'm going to get up at 4:00. That was a huge shock to the system. But if I could do it, which I did, it threw my system off. I would walk in the morning, walk at night. That's how I started. Now I'm active into triathlons. I couldn't have even thought of doing that back then. So it's really about shaking your system up, making small strides, and just taking it day by day. They say that in AA all the time, but it carries over to other parts of life. One day at a time. But what are things you could do that you think you would do from an exercise standpoint?
Well, yeah. Like you said, I can only maybe imagine, like you said, walking. I don't think I could do much more at this weight or for very long even without getting really tired.
What time could you commit to getting up and going walking, and for how long?
well, I get up at 7 now for work. I could get up earlier and do it, or I could do it after work. It's probably just as easy to get up early because I'm always doing something.
Perfect.
After
You're going to
work.
get up at 6 o'clock and you're going to be out the door by 6:15 and you're going to be on a 10-minute walk every morning. 10 minutes. That's all. You're going to be back well in time by 7 to get ready for work.
Mhm.
You're going to be kicking the old used ass in about a week.
I think I could do 10
6
minutes.
Yes, you can. If you can't, you go to 5. But I think you could do that.
Yeah, I think I could do 10 minutes. That wouldn't be bad.
Change isn't easy. It's not fun. But I do believe it's worth it if you see it through. It's really about changing your routine, getting you in the habit. But see, what's going to happen, and I know this because I've been through it, after a week of it, you're going to, okay, this is like kind of silly, like 5 minutes, and you're going to want to start upping it. And before you know it, you're going to be going a half hour, an hour. And you're going to see the improvements because at that point, it comes pretty quickly, especially early on from the standpoint of just how you feel. You're going to have endorphins going. You probably haven't had endorphins for a long time. So really what we're trying to do is just reset your system. So with that, we still have to focus on the diet because to me, that's the hardest part. I mean, I'm a testament of somebody who trained for a marathon and gained weight during it. So you exercise is not all of it. That's why we were asking, what's the best diet you've been a part of? Is there one that you think, if your mind's right, that, hey, I've done this, I can do it, it works, and I can sustain it? Not like the keto one that you said wasn't sustainable. Something you could sustain.
Yeah, I haven't had any that I could sustain yet. So, and I've tried so many of them, and that's the problem is I just don't sustain the diet.
But what if I'm not qualified, I'm not a nutritionist. What if I were to tell you, I have your perfect solution, I have the person for you to talk to, and you wouldn't have to give any of that up?
Yeah, that sounds good. But what would do that?
Well, so I've done all the dieting in my life and the keto, the this, the that, the I mean, I've done them all. The most successful quote unquote diet I was on was the most sustainable. And that was not removing all that stuff. It was eating all of it. It was learning to make better choices. And we have your information. We'll be happy to get you in touch with somebody that can help you with that. And they'll lay it out for you. They'll tell you how many calories you should be eating. And yeah, I mean, you will, if you do what you're supposed to, you won't have a problem. But if you can't blame the diet in this case, because it's not a diet.
Okay.
You're going to have everything you need. And he'll be on you too about the walking in the morning. I would think he probably would agree with everything I've told you and probably tell you to do the same thing.
Well, that sounds like that might be helpful.
Okay. Well, we have your information. We'll be happy to pass his name along to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on the show today, and I really have enjoyed watching and listening to your podcast. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing with this.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brett.
Do you have any questions, Brett, before we let you go? Or Amanda?
I don't have any right now. I probably will once I start walking and that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.
Bye.
Bye. Another happy customer. What do you think, Amanda? Another one happy with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing that he's got. I think a lot of people struggle with that.
100%.
I mean, I have. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy
Every
thing
day.
is like once you get it and you're back in that routine, it's like you can't imagine how you weren't ever in it.
I know.
It's the endorphins. So when I start tapering for races, that week before, it's like I'm still eating like I'm training, and then it's like, oh God, and then you feel fat, and I just want to get back out and exercise. Like so cool.
100%. Yeah, I had a good time.
Yes, me too. Till the next one.
Till the next one. See you later.